Welcome to the Love on the Go podcast, brought to you by Carolina's Matchmaker. I'm Laurie Burzak, and for over 17 years, I've been helping singles find the relationship of their dreams all over the Carolinas. Along the journey, I've met so many amazing professionals and experts from various fields, and I'm excited to introduce them to you. What's my goal? I want to help you look at love and relationships in a new way and to grow in your understanding of how love works. Let's learn together how people have overcome personal obstacles and have found love, first and foremost with themselves. The ultimate goal is realizing that you are worthy and deserving of love. Let's get started. Megan Miller, I am so excited to be talking to you today. Thank you very, very much for coming on and taking the time to be on Love on the Go.
This is going to be like girl chat. This is exactly what it's going to be like. It's not even like a podcast.
That's right. Before we jumped on, Megan and I were talking hair and eyelash extensions. And
let's just catch up and let other people
care. Yeah, we'll let them listen to us.
Let everybody just listen in on our catch up.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so here's what I want to catch up on you. I know that you're really going through a hard time right now with your son. Mm-hmm. And can you share? So I'm just jumping right in. Tell me how he is. Maybe give a little bit of background.
Yeah. So for those listening, 9 months ago, going on 10 months, our world got kind of flipped upside down. Our 3-year-old son, who some know as Foodie Baby, CLT, he's our local Charlotte foodie, was diagnosed with T-cell lymphoblastic lymphoma, and we caught it fairly early on because it was a physical sign. We saw a lump on his neck. We just kind of, as every other parent, thought, lymphatic system, that's where your immune is defending itself. He probably has a cold. He just started school. There's germs everywhere. Treated it with antibiotics. Continually kind of went down in the beginning, nothing else with him, just regular kid going to school, doing the thing. But it kept getting larger and larger. I am all in favor of modern medicine, but, eventually after so many antibiotic trials, you're like, okay, like we're not getting anywhere. I'm not going to keep putting him on this. Let's kind of dig deeper. So we were recommended to go get a biopsy, which as a parent, I thought that was going to be like the hardest thing I'd ever have to go through in my life, having to go through a biopsy. I was like, oh gosh, this is going to be difficult. And about a week later, we had gotten the call that the biopsy showed signs of lymphoma, and we had to literally pack our bags and go to the hospital that evening. As a parent, I don't even think when I heard lymphoma, I thought cancer. The doctors are so good at using very technical terms not to scare. So I was like, cool, lymphoma, no big deal. And then as we got in, we're like, okay, that's cancer. Okay, we're in stage, 3, okay, by the time you get in, you're in surgery, you're in testing. I mean, he's starting chemo in 3 days. So there's no processing of that. But, we had some incredible angels with us. Claire's Army is this amazing organization in Charlotte that takes care of the whole family. They gave a package. We got food delivered to our room. I had never been so excited about Febreze or a rug for our bathroom and a brush for our dishes than when we received them, because those are not things you think you're going to need when you're packing your bug out bag for the hospital. But Luke he's been incredible. I mean, cancer is no easy feat, and by no means do I want to make it sound like it's a trip in the park, but in order to inspire and give hope for people that are either going through it now or find themselves coming head to head with this disease, his body was very strong going into this. Similar to what we were seeing with COVID, healthy bodies, healthy athletes getting sick. Luke is a healthy kid. Doctor's appointments were always exciting for us and fun. And his body just, the medicine went in and his body went to war. And within, 4 months, we were in remission. And remission basically just means that there's no cancer present in the body, but we do have to continue the treatments to, make sure it doesn't come back. 9 to 10 months in, we're doing good. We just started on maintenance, so the treatments go down. But as the literal week that he was diagnosed, I started my own company. And my husband got a promotion at work. Right. So we had to have this pretty intense marital talk in the hospital, like, okay, these are two huge life changes. You just left your 9 to 5. I'm going to be working more hours. I'm going to be traveling more. Like, what do we do?
Right.
And in any marriage, you try to find, you know, a give and a take and a way to come together and make it work. But it was very, you know, very adamant to me that, you know, I would have to take on a majority of the caretaking roles, having the flexibility of owning my own company. So a little bit of a blessing in disguise, you know, be able to have that flexibility. And Brent, you know, anytime he's in town, he's taking, you know, the appointments that he can, and we're making sure we're both there for the big ones, surgery, spinal taps. But it's been a challenge, you know, it's definitely been a fight for time, and you know, making sure that Luke is taken care of, but also the caretakers are being taken care of.
Yeah, that's a really big part of it. And sometimes I know that it's hard to pay attention to your marriage when you're so concerned about a child. Like the marriage sort of goes on the back burner. So what have you been doing? Do you do date nights? How do you carve that out? How do you make each other feel special when sometimes people feel like they don't even deserve to be feeling that way?
Oh my gosh. Well, we didn't, you know, to be very transparent, we didn't make that time. And people ask, you know, how did this affect it? And there is no gray. It is, you know, white or black. You know, we went, and, you know, it can either hurt your marriage or help it. And, you know, Brent and I, from the beginning, communication has always been a huge supporting network with us. And, you know, we kind of lost it for a little bit there, you know, as early parents do. But when it came to this diagnosis, we immediately went back to our roots. You know, it was constant communication, constant checking in with each other, knowing we're both going through it together, but dealing with it in different ways. We're now just starting to get date nights back again. To be very honest, it's, you know, we enjoy time together at the house, and you know, we are just now starting to kind of prioritize those, but we don't really need to be away from the home to have that connection.
Yeah.
It can be, you know, things like making meals together. Luke loves cooking. He's a very active cooker. So, you know, Luke and I make meals, Brent makes a side, and doing things together, and checking in and making sure that we feel heard, which kind of seems a little silly, but it's a big component of like, hey, today's not a good day. I'm going to make the best of it, but I just need you to know.
Right. And you need to go back to that initial respect that you have for your partner, where it's easy when you're in crisis mode to be snappy and to just assume the other person knows what you're thinking, or to get aggravated when something isn't going well and take it out on your partner.
Right.
And that is so hard to do.
Sass is a foundation of our relationship. I feel, you know, if it wasn't for sass and some snappiness, it would be boring.
Right.
But, you know, it's understanding that. And again, we made this decision earlier where I said, you know, you do what you need to do, and I'll do what I need to do. And at the end of the day, we do it together. And that's the biggest thing through all this.
And take us back, because I know that you also had a long distance relationship with Brent, right? So this is probably
we'll be coming up on 11 years. July 16th is our wedding anniversary. And what I kind of dropped a couple bombs at the beginning where I said, you know, communication was a huge focal point, because that's all we had when we were in college. You know, Iowa to Florida, we did long distance. We met in Dallas, Texas, in college. Text messages costed 30 cents a text. Our parents were paying for it, so we weren't texting, we were emailing through our school accounts. You know, our parents, you know, I was sending him care packages, and we did letters, and you know, I think Logitech came out with the first webcam maybe years into our, you know, and that was like a game changer. But it's still kind of, you know, we kind of realized that where we were in our lives during that time, long distance was the best solution for us, because we didn't really webcam a lot. Because, you know, he played college basketball, and I was very involved in our business competition team. I was very social. I was singing for the opera company. So like, we didn't really have time for each other, but the long distance relationship allowed us to have this, you know, physical or non-physical connection, but far away. So that summer he came to Florida after we graduated. He moved into my apartment, but my roommate quickly kicked him out when he overstayed his welcome. So we had to live with my parents for 2 months, which was hilarious because that was definitely, we had to sleep in separate rooms, and, you know, he had to go under my parents' will, and he didn't really know my parents very well. But he had proposed that summer when he was in college, and we moved to Minneapolis shortly after that and planned a wedding a year later.
I love that story. And, you know, a lot of times I think people disregard their college relationships thinking, oh, well, this is just this period of time in my life. I still have so many things I want to go and do and conquer. And they'll come into my office, or I'll be on a Zoom call with them, and they'll tell me that was their best relationship ever, and they wish they could have gone back to it. So how did you know that that early relationship was the one?
Yeah, for me, I think it was the seeing a person who was responsible and mature at that age. I felt like I had, like everybody does, you kind of go through the weeds to find the rose. And, you know, at that point in my life, in college, you know, I had really flipped a switch that year. You know, prior to that, you know, I was being very social. Academics were awesome, but they weren't my priority. It wasn't until I had started, which was at that time Students in Free Enterprise, which is now a Noctis business competition team, I started seeing like real world, you know, situations. And that was the time when I had switched my major from voice performance opera to business marketing, because I was like, all right, I need to get pretty serious here with what I'm going to go for. Which also meant I needed a serious relationship. And I am a very relationship driven person. You know, in my past, I've had some codependency, you know, issues that I've gone through. And I thrive when I'm in a partnership and, or a friendship or anything. That's kind of just where I thrive. And so when I had met him, he was unlike anyone I had met before. And he had goals and ambitions, and he was smart, and he knew what he wanted to do, but at the same time, he had this innocence to him that was, you know, I also want to have fun. And, you know, I'm at this point in my life where I really want to experience it all, but at the same time, I know what I want, where I want to end. And that to me is very comforting, because a lot of people during that time I'd gone through where it was, they didn't care about the future. It was all YOLO before that was even a buzzword, you know, and everyone in Florida was just living for the moment and for the time, and to talk to someone that had a plan, and I felt secure. And, you know, at that point, I really wanted to blossom in my career, and Florida just didn't have a ton of opportunities at the time. You know, I was the graduating class during the recession. Minneapolis had a ton of opportunities. So I was like, let's go. Like, why not? I've never jumped into anything before without prior to experience. So it was exciting for me. I can't say my parents would say the same. But, you know, I think that 2 months was definitely nice for them to kind of get to know the person that was going to take their daughter away.
Yeah. And I remember meeting your mom at your baby shower.
Yes. And they live here now. They live here. They just moved here about 6 months ago. So
very nice. That's so wonderful. I wanted to ask you about your opera singing.
Yes.
Tell us more about that. That's so fascinating to me.
Singing was an outlet for me. Never really thought I was good at it. I just kind of enjoyed doing it. And when I was going into middle school, you know, I was going through a really hard time in my adolescence, and I was getting bullied a lot, and I was really going through a difficult time, you know, with the group at school. And, you know, I told my mom, like, I can't go to that middle school with them. There's no way I'd survive. Like, I can barely get through 5th grade. And so she was like, all right, well, there's a performing arts middle school, let's audition. And I had auditioned for dance and flute and all the things I thought I was good at. And I didn't think I could sing. And, but I had an opportunity to get in for one more thing. So I was like, I just want to get out of this schooling district. I want to go to a magnet program. And so I had sang for my audition, and I got in for singing. And I was like, you guys are deaf. Like, I'm not a good singer. Like, I was cast as the tree in the play. I wasn't a lead. Like, but what they had saw in me was something I didn't see in myself. And that was potential. And I was teachable, and I was coachable. You know, I wasn't the kid that thought they were going to go on American Idol, that had the talent, that, you know, had the confidence. I was somebody that they could mold and teach and train. So I went down this classical route all through middle school and high school. And when I got into high school, I got really passionate about singing, and really mastered my art form. And I went to Palm Beach Atlantic University on a full ride for voice performance.
Wow.
And I was so excited to get in and sing. And that was when I learned about opera. My voice coach that they assigned me to, which was the dean of the university's wife, was like a Metropolitan Grammy Award winning soprano. And she was incredible. And she's started getting me into opera arias. And, you know, I'd never seen an opera in my life. And my grandparents worked in the theater. My grandmother was a Rockette. And my father won a Tony Award for carpentry in Lincoln Center. So I had an art background, but never really opera. And so learning the art form, you know, I started singing opera before I'd ever seen it. And it was such a merriment of all the things I loved: dressing up, makeup, costumes, wigs, singing, lighting, acting. Opera's everything. It's all the elements of theater and voice performance that to me was very driving. And so I quickly immersed myself in opera workshop. I did it every semester. I auditioned for Palm Beach Opera Company resident artist program. I got in as, at the time, was one of the youngest residents there. And actually to this day, the only younger one than me was actually my voice teacher's daughter, Virginia Mims, who's now in Greece and Italy doing incredible things. So if my record was ever going to get beat, she would definitely be the one to do it. And, you know, so I really got immersed in the art form and really saw what it was all about, which also brought me kind of to earth a little bit with, I need some kind of stability in my life. I need to have another skill set other than just singing. And I remember telling my dad, you know, I'm going to get a degree in marketing. My dad was like, well, why? And I said, well, you know, I can sing opera. It'd be really cool if I could get more people to go to opera, and marketing. Maybe one day I could help, you know, market opera and I could do something. My dad's like, okay, well, that's a pretty long stretch, very niche goal. And I said, well, who knows? If anything, I'll just, you know, do marketing for an animal shelter or something.
Right.
And, you know, fast forward 5 years later, and I became the marketing director for Opera Carolina. And I remember calling my dad. I'm like, I probably should have bet some money on that career choice, because here I am living my dream job.
You literally manifested that for yourself.
Yep.
It was incredible. And that's when I met you. And that's when you told me about one of your other dreams, when you created the for Fashion Week in New York City, using the playbills to make dresses. And then I went to a fashion show here for it. I was like,
the first thing I did when I got into that job was my predecessor was like, all right, you need to throw out all these brochures, you know, they're in your desk and stacked. And that was the year they did their incredible booklet brochure. And, you know, all the art, everything we do, you know, with Opera Carolina, Charlotte Symphony, the ballet, it's art. All of our brochures and postcards are pieces of art. They're graphically designed. They're incredible. I was like, there's got to be a different way to, like, I don't want to throw this all away. So I actually have a background in environmentalism and recycling advocacy.
Of course you do.
And being in, I was in the Jupiter High School Environmental Research and Field Studies Academy. And I called my girlfriend, and I knew she did recyclable fashions. And I'm like, I have this idea. I know you do some recycling designs. Like, could you do something with this? And she did. And that sparked the fire in Charlotte. And I met other designers that also did recyclable fashion. I'm like, I didn't know this was a thing. Like, of course it's a thing, but I didn't know it was a thing. You know, so we did that, and we've gone to New York Fashion Week twice. We went to Paris Fashion Week. I've kind of taken a 2-year hiatus on the project. It's not the end of it, but, you know, I'm slowly having some conversations with people and businesses about bringing it back up again. But it was just really cool looking back and how, you know, you're able to find things that you've done in the past that come to fruition now. Never did I think I would bring my environmentalism background to some type of career, and my opera career, my marketing career. And, you know, even with Luke and his, you know, his battle with lymphoma, you know, a year prior to that, I did a marketing project with the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation in Tampa. And we did a fashion project with them through Opera Recycles, where we created fashions for the children. And, you know, I've reached out to them. They were the first people I reached out to after Luke got diagnosed. And I'm like, so had no idea how much this organization would mean to me until now. And so the universe puts a lot of my pieces in this puzzle.
It's incredible. And it's funny because the same thing has happened to me in my lifetime. Like every single thing that I've ever been interested in culminated in what I'm doing today as a matchmaker. From wanting to be a writer, a director, a photographer, in PR, majoring a minor in theater. I was like, learning how to be on TV, every single thing. And it really, to me, it really shows that we're on the right path. Like we're going along, and then there's going to be stuff that happens that we're going to have to deal with called life. And then, how do we handle it, and how do we handle our relationships? And it sounds like you're doing a beautiful job of maintaining all of that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things when, we talk about utilizing all things that we've been given, and how do we put things together, and how do we connect everything? And, people talk about collaboration over competition and starting businesses. And I feel every time I meet someone or work with someone, there's always something more. And it may not be at that moment. Even when we had met over a mutual friend who had done a project, who just by chance was like, you should meet Megan, you would like her. And we had chicken salad and we just kind of talked about life. And before I know it, you're at my baby shower, we're having regular lunches, I'm going to your house and helping with your book. Like, people and things and opportunities get put into your life. And I feel it's a waste if you don't use it. And, we're given these gifts and these talents and these, passion projects and ideas. And I think it's just such a waste to not jump on it. Cause for all the things that we've talked about that are amazing that I've done, there's a pile of failures that equally ranges in height. But I haven't let them die. And I tell a lot of my clients, just because something didn't work doesn't mean you have to consider it a failure. I think it's important to rebuild and, break things down back to the foundation, remodel the house, remodel the plan, and really look at what did we miss and how can we fix those voids with, bringing in new things. Because, I don't think there's any bad ideas. There's just bad execution.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it leads me to asking you, when a challenge does come up in your personal life or in your business life, and especially kind of the balancing of it all, how do you go about that? How do you figure out what the priority is around it?
I think Martin Luther King Jr. said it best: when you look at a staircase, just take it one step at a time and don't look at the entire climb. Because, that's just what it is. When people ask me how I do it all and I think about it, I get anxiety. I get like, okay, this is a lot. There's a lot of balls in the air. There's a lot of things going on. But when I sit down and say, okay, what's due tomorrow? What's active this week? What needs to be done to get to the next step? I don't look at Luke's cancer journey as another 1.5 years of treatments. I look at it as, great, we're going into maintenance. Here's what maintenance means. I'm onboarding a new client in August. Here's what they need. Here, that step by step constantly regrounds me. And there's a lot of people that don't want you to be grounded. They want you to look at the chaos and look at the mess and look at that. And maybe from far away, it does look like a mess and it does look like chaos. And I'm sure my life looks like chaos from afar and from Instagram. And, it's that one step instead of looking at the staircase, because it allows me to just take everything. And of course we trip and we fall and, there's some things that we don't make, but, having a good support group and a good network and a good, good business partners and collaborators, that really grounds me, because a lot of times, I'll come to a writer's block for a marketer, and that's maybe a strategy, or I've hit a wall or something, and I'll text a friend and I'll just say, hey, here's where I am. Like, I can't get past it. Can you help me? And as soon as they help, I say, great, send me over anything you have, because I'm happy to reciprocate on that.
Wonderful. And when you do sort of hit that wall, and by the way, when I look at your Instagram feed, all I'm thinking is, wow, she's doing so much. And she's going to all these interesting food, you're a foodie and you're talking about, and I'm certain there's some of your clients you're working with, and displaying their beautiful food. And that's what inspired me to go to certain restaurants, is So I feel like your messaging is very down to earth, and it's you. I mean, you're talking about your family life, you're talking about your work life. You had an honor recently where, you had a book come out and you were featured in there. And you were able to talk about that, and about the impact that you were making in the community and the business world. I feel like your life just, it's incredible. And obviously you have the challenges, but the fact that you're being so transparent about it, I think is what is so incredible to be able to.
I'm not necessarily going to take a selfie of me crying in the corner, but it does happen. But I think it's important with everything that we do. There is transparency, and that's why I brought a lot of my family into my Instagram and kind of went away from just showing achievements, because I want to show the hope and the joy, because these diagnoses happen every day, and there are a lot of people that I want them to see that it can be done. It's not easy. My stories are a lot more vulnerable than my feeds, where I show the hard days and the long days. And, but I like to show us at the end of the day, like, hey, we're getting through this. We're doing this. Obviously I could be more busy with my work, but I've taken it in strides, and I've planned everything out to where I'm at every appointment with Luke, and we're at every treatment, and I am the primary, caretaker for those opportunities. And it's just a lot of balance. It's a lot of give and take. It's a lot of partnership, without what I'm able to do is not even possible without Brent. He may not be on my Instagram, and I may not be like showcasing all the things he's doing, but someone has to hold the fort down. Someone has to get things done. Someone has to, be the caretaker of the house. He does more for our house than, people always talk about, like, the woman's role. I'm like, we're kind of, Brent does a lot of the things that the women do. And, but that's because he knows what I do during the day. And at the end of the day, he takes on those responsibilities. So there is a synergy throughout our relationship and throughout our home.
It's a true partnership.
Yep.
For sure. How do you practice self-care?
Ooh, good question. I am probably the worst at self-care. I in the beginning, I did a lot of meditation. I did it at night. I really can't do much in the morning, because once Luke's up, we're go time. So I started doing a routine at night. I don't do it on the weekends. Weekends are for, Brett and I to do things, but I do an early start to the night. I read a book. I have my tea. I listen to music. I bought dimmable lights during the pandemic that change colors. And I set the mood to not be in my body at that time, and to truly immerse myself in whatever it is, whether it's a story, if it's learning, if it's marketing, if it's self-help, if it's mental health, that's my time. And that really has become my ritual, because, yes, there's pedicures and there's hair appointments and there's facials, but my mind is going 1,000 miles an hour during that time. So at nighttime, I have found that sweet spot at 9 o'clock at night, where I'm in bed, I'm in my comfy PJs. Brent knows the routine, like, it relaxes me. I drift off, and the next morning we're right up. It's like a horse race with us in the morning. Luke's up, mom's out, Luke's up, dad's out, because he wakes up and he's like, play trains. It's not like morning, like yawn. Let's go. I like that. That's very much my personality as well. And that's been my routine for, self-care. I know I could be better. There's definitely an opportunity for me to take better mental care, but, I have a therapist. We talk. I think it's important to have someone outside of your home to talk to. I love books. I'm probably addicted to books. It's probably one of my, I can't get enough of them. During the pandemic, I learned, or not during the pandemic, when Luke was really little, I couldn't read books. So I did audiobooks. Right. So between car drives and, we're, constantly immersing ourselves in those different worlds. And of course, singing is, that's an out of body experience for me.
I'm sure your shower singing of opera is,
no, I never
electric.
sing in the shower. It's are way too wild in there.
So you mentioned a favorite charity at the beginning. You and I have raised money together with Philanthropy Dating. We actually had one or two. Was it two?
Two, yeah.
Events where we raised money for Opera Carolina with my young professionals group at the time. Yep. And we even had an opera singer there.
That was fun.
That was amazing. What other charities, I'll put it in the show notes, are you affiliated with that you would want our audience to donate to?
Obviously Claire's Army is my current big advocacy, St. Jude's, because of what they do for the families. But I'm also I've been a part of cystic fibrosis for the Charlotte chapter for many years, from being on their Brewers Ball committee. I was a standout nominee. And then the American Red Cross Association, we've done a ton with their organizations as well.
Wonderful. Megan, it has been such a pleasure catching up with you, and I want to see you in person.
I know.
Very, very
We're
soon.
going to make it happen.
We will make it happen. Your Instagram is?
At marketing_mezzo.com, MEZZO.
And I'll put that in the show notes. It's really a pleasure looking at that feed. So I definitely recommend it to people to watch the stories. And best of luck. And I'll look forward to hearing about increased progress.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for listening to Love on the Go. I hope you join us on our next episode. You can make sure to know when it is by following us wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed it, it'd be great if you left us a review. I'd appreciate it. In the meantime, to learn more about me and how my team can help you, visit carolinasmatchmaker.com. Until next time.